The story starts with a man named Tetsuo Tosu meeting his daughter Reika for lunch and discovers that her boyfriend is physically abusing her. She immediately leaves too. Oh hell nah. If someone did that to my child, we gonna have to handle that nigga. In GTA, he stalks out front seeing her boyfriend Nobuto and his friends one day, and he was talking shit about her too.
So how much did you hit this one, man?
5, maybe 6. Serves the bitch right's what I say.
Jeez, you're evil. You did what you had to do. The bitch deserved it.
What are you gonna do?
Hey, man, remind me, what was her name again?
Huh? Reika.
It's nothing, I just tripped and fell.
Look, some people need to be gone, bro. You know what I'm talking about, in order for shit to get better. And he one of them.
Then Tetsuo is seen by one of them and beaten up and threatens to kill him if he talks to the police. Tetsuo spends the night in an internet cafe talking to his wife and being down terrible. The next day, he goes to Reika's apartment, seeking clues about Nobuto. However, Nobuto arrives, so Tetsuo hides in a closet where he hears Nobuto talking over the phone about killing other people and how he plans to get money out of Reika before getting rid of her. While taking his phone out, his dumbass dropped it. Luckily, he presses him on the phone and tells him to look in the closet, and that's when he went into action. Tetsuo bursts from the closet and hits Nobuto in the dick, and then proceeds to beat him to death with a rice cooker. Holy. Tetsuo's wife Kasen arrives at the apartment and she assumed it was self-defense, but Tetsuo realized they are Yakuza and they got a pic of his ass. So the two of them decide to clean up the mess and get rid of the body. W ride or die, I'm not gonna lie. Reika returns to the apartment and Kasen convinces her daughter to stay with her so Tetsuo can deal with the body.
Hurting such a sweet girl, huh? You ask me? Someone like that should just die.
However, when one of the gang members named Kyoichi enters the apartment looking for Nobuto, while Tetsuo is still there and Nobuto's corpse is laying in the bathtub, then we see a man with glasses who hired a guy named Kubo to find Nobuto, since he's the only family he has left. Tetsuo pretends to be a cleaner called Suzuki on his regular duties and convinces him to leave. Kubo tells Kyoichi to call Nobuto's phone, and luckily there was no ring in there. Thankfully, Tetsuo destroyed it before they got there. Whew. Later on, Tetsuo uses his technical knowledge to boil Nobuto's body in the bathtub, and then, when it has reduced in size, transport it home in a large suitcase provided by Kasen. The next day, they found out Reika was followed to their house by Kubo and Kyoichi, accompanied by Shingo. When Tetsuo goes to buy garden supplies to quickly decompose the body, the gang opens his car trunk and the suitcase only to find it packed with clothing, although Tetsuo deduces he has been followed. Back at home, Shingo pretends to be an estate agent and offers to appraise their home, while Kyoichi enters the house but finds nothing. Later, Tetsuo and Kasen find a listening device in their home and act out a staged conversation about someone stalking Reika who may have harmed Nobuto, prompting the group to quit their surveillance. Tetsuo and Kasen then successfully bury Nobuto's remains in their garden. However, that night, some of Kubo's gang break in and capture Kasen while Tetsuo is tased on his way home. A flashback shows Tetsuo and Kasen are aware that Nobuto's gang are investigating them. Meanwhile, Kyoichi plans to question them about Nobuto. In the present, Tetsuo is bound with his head covered by a bag while Kyoichi beats and threatens to kill him. In desperation, Tetsuo says that he hired a man called Suzuki to investigate Nobuto. The man who hired them, named Matori, calls Kyoichi and lets him know that he's at his limit not seeing Nobuto. Kyoichi eventually kicks Tetsuo off a ledge as a scare tactic, and he still decides to feed them lies. That is so crazy. The crew with Kasen also questions her, and she tells them the same story which Tetsuo had developed earlier, convincing them that she knows nothing about Nobuto's disappearance. Kyoichi reports the results to Kubo, but with nothing to show for his risky operation, Kubo demotes Kyoichi and puts Takeda in charge. In frustration, Kyoichi prepares to kill Tetsuo and blame him for Nobuto's death. However, Tetsuo suggests that if Nobuto returns, it will look bad, and offers to do everything he can to help Kyoichi locate Nobuto. Ooh, okay pops. Later on, Kasen meets Tetsuo, saying everything will go back to normal. WCAP. In a flashback, Kyoichi agrees to work with Tetsuo to find Nobuto, but threatens to kill him and frame him for murdering Nobuto if they cannot do so by the deadline of Friday. Tetsuo decides to not share this information with Kasen and handle this alone from now on. After considering his options, Tetsuo decides to create the impression that Nobuto is still alive. He meets up with Kyoichi in his little suit, and they interview Nobuto's girlfriend Hibiki at the club where she works at. Oh hell nah, I'm still Nobuto-K. She even knew he's been cheating too. She mentions Nobuto's exploitation of Reika.
What wasn't so cute was the fact he cheated on me with up to 4 other girls. But he'd always end up crying and apologizing, and swore I was the one for him. Reika was just for work reasons. Apparently, she was some deadly virgin who'd never even seen porn before. She had like 0 moves whatsoever, but she was super clingy. Needy girlfriends are the worst. The day before he disappeared, he came here and told me he was kicked out of her place. But me, oh, I could satisfy him. And that's the truth.
Oh hell nah, imagine your daughter getting talked about like that. However, he manages to extract some useful information from her. Nobuto ripped off his gang by carrying out a pre-planned robbery himself. As Tetsuo and Kyoichi are about to leave, they are coerced into carrying out a job for the club owners to intercept a transaction between 2 violent gangs, the Ryuken and the Oko. At the meeting point on a deserted road, on the signal, Kyoichi drives towards the 2 gangs, but he is shot and wounded. As they are trying to kill them, Tetsuo's quick thinking got them out in time as Kubo's group pulled up. A guy from one of the gangs came down the hill to where Tetsuo and Kyoichi were and aimed his gun at them. Then a gunshot went off. Luckily, it was Kubo that came in and packed his ass up and removes the bullet from Kyoichi's body. They then film Tetsuo as he is forced to confess killing one of the other gang members as insurance against him divulging the gang's actions. Back home, Tetsuo tells Kasen that his only chance to survive their predicament is to convince the gang that Nobuto is still alive. He suggests using their old college friend Tabata, who is currently involved in video production. And Kasen convinces Tabata to act out a small scenario wearing Nobuto's clothes. Meanwhile, Tetsuo tries to unlock Nobuto's phone, but it requires a pet's name, which Tetsuo cannot guess. He gets help from Hibiki that has him go to the bar which Nobuto frequented searching for clues, and strikes up a conversation with a man who's depressed about his son's disappearance and says his name is Yoshitatsu Matori. And Tetsuo says that his name is Tabata. After the man leaves, the bartender reveals to Tetsuo that he is Nobuto's father. Crazy.
Tabata, you liar.
That's when Tetsuo started to feel like shit for taking his son's life. Tetsuo and Kasen managed to guess Nobuto's password and unlock his phone. They post a video they made with Tabata showing Nobuto from the back, and then peep a comment from Nobuto's phone indicating he's still alive but in hiding. However, the gang suspects the video is a fake. While that convo was happening, Tetsuo put Nobuto's old phone in his bag and used Bluetooth, connected it to earphones and a microphone, stitched it in his hat while his wife can listen in. So if something goes wrong, she can start plan B without him. Soon they find out there's a 70% chance the video is fake due to the way he was walking in the video. Then Kyoichi drags Tetsuo back to his home to investigate a large pot that he recalled seeing but had nothing planted in it. He forces Tetsuo to dump it out, but luckily all of Nobuto's remains have decomposed. As Kyoichi rummages through the dirt, Kasen surprisingly returns and invites them in for coffee. After drinking it, Kyoichi tells them about him being with the gang that hurt Tetsuo and had blackmailed him to Kasen. Soon after, he rushes to the bathroom as Kasen had added laxatives to the coffee. However, it also affects Tetsuo, preventing him from accessing Kyoichi's laptop. So instead, he installs a keylogger onto it. While Tetsuo's outside, Reika unexpectedly arrives home and catches him with his fucking pants down, and then soon runs into Kyoichi, and he brings up Nobuto. As Kyoichi leaves the house with Tetsuo, he leaves a note in Reika's shoe for her to contact him, saying her parents are hiding something. Meanwhile, Kasen was able to access his emails. She finds that he plans to kill Tetsuo and then frame him for Nobuto's disappearance and possible death. Kasen decides to implement Plan B and goes to Kyoichi's family home to plant a bag of evidence pointing to Nobuto's demise. Kyoichi ends up taking Tetsuo to Reika's house to search for more clues. Kasen meets Kyoichi's mother, who has had a hard life herself, and so she decides not to leave the evidence. Fares. Soon after Kasen sees he accesses emails, and it was Reika that messaged him. Her nosy ass, man, I swear. How your parents not teach you not to talk to strangers? She deadass was typing back and forth with him too. Oh my god, why I oughta. Thank the Lord Kasen saw this shit. That's when Kasen made her mind up to get his ass gone. Kyoichi handcuffs Tetsuo before he leaves, and Kasen gives Tetsuo the heads up. Tetsuo slips out of Kyoichi's handcuffs and meets Kasen. Together they devise a plan to leave the bag of evidence at Kyoichi's apartment. However, just as Tetsuo arrives with the bag, Kyoichi emerges from the elevator. Tetsuo avoids being seen by Kyoichi in time. Then he tries to enter Kyoichi's apartment to leave Nobuto's remains, but cannot pick the lock, and returns back just before Kyoichi arrives. Kasen catches Reika and makes her come back home. Back at Reika's apartment, Kyoichi discovers an email was sent from his account. He was shocked as fuck, so Tetsuo suggested that he may be being investigated by Takeda, who suspects Kyoichi of killing Nobuto. He suggests that Takeda may have planted evidence in his apartment, so Kyoichi drags Tetsuo with him to his apartment to investigate. They make it, and he had a lock cover on his door. Okay, he is smart nigga low-key. They find nothing, but Tetsuo begins to realize that Kyoichi is more clever and ruthless than he anticipated, making the situation more precarious, and finding out his father was also killed by Yakuza. Shortly after, we find out Tetsuo's father died as well. After eating, Kyoichi takes Tetsuo with him to report back to Takeda that he has not found evidence of Nobuto's disappearance. While there, Takeda receives an email suggesting that the Yakuza are dumb as hell and that Nobuto and Kyoichi masterminded an armored car robbery a while back. They search Nobuto's apartment and find a lot of cash, and then call in Kubo to supervise the search of Kyoichi's apartment. They find some money in his safe, but the serial number ain't match. However, there is also a bag in the back. Holy, they did it. Kyoichi starts crashing out and tries to blame Tetsuo and Takeda, but he has no proof. Takeda opens the bag and it's containing human skeletal remains. Kubo decides that Kyoichi has to take the blame for Nobuto's demise. It is then revealed that Tetsuo arranged for Kasen to place Nobuto's remains there and also sent the email to frame Kyoichi. Smart man. Tetsuo leaves Kyoichi to his fate and heads to Reika's apartment. A flashback shows Kasen following Tetsuo's plan to enter Kyoichi's apartment from the rooftop and plant Nobuto's remains in the safe after using a combination of technology and guesswork to discover the combination. She was really moving for real. Who's her trainer? Meanwhile, desperate to survive, Kyoichi breaks free from Takeda and them and manages to escape, although reopening his bullet wound. He then pieces together the events leading up to the discovery of Nobuto's remains in his safe and concludes that Tetsuo must have somehow planted the evidence to frame him. He then calls Matori and says that Tetsuo killed Nobuto. Kyoichi tries to convince Matori over the phone that he is innocent, believing that Tetsuo killed Nobuto and collaborated with Kasen to plant the evidence against him. After that, he dipped the fuck up on out of there. Had his ass freaking the fuck out, destroying his room and throwing up too.
Yeah, hello. Kyoichi. He told me everything. I only wish you had informed me about him, Kubo. Much sooner.
Later that day, Tetsuo wakes up from sleeping in his daughter's apartment and finds out that Matori is outside of it. Matori gets one of Kubo's men to unlock the door, and he enters Reika's apartment with an ALS light while Tetsuo is hiding and finds what he believes are traces of Nobuto's blood. He broke down crying right then and there.
I know you're there. Come out. Into the light.
Tetsuo emerges from hiding in the closet and confesses his guilt to Matori, who threatens to kill him after he tortures and kills his family.
Strip them naked, and let the organization have their way with them, you follow? I know one is a middle-aged woman, but our guys are beasts and won't be picky. They'll ravage them all night, and you'll be watching. I'll put hooks through your eyelids. Wouldn't want you to blink and miss a second of what they go through. And when we've had our way with them, we'll skin and crucify them. Burn off their hands and feet, rip off their ears. Hammer nails all over their bodies, then eviscerate them. And finally, we'll decapitate them and place their heads in front of you. But at least I'll let you say goodbye. Then it'll be your turn. Good, huh?
Oh, hell nah. Tetsuo snaps and attacks Matori, even after being hit with pepper spray, causing them both to fall. Matori makes it to his phone, but Tetsuo stops and manages to break his phone. Then Matori manages to strike back. The noise of the violent struggle causes the downstairs neighbors to call the police, who arrive outside the building, as Matori ends up spraying himself with pepper spray. Dumbass. They both continue fighting, and Matori begins to strangle Tetsuo with a cord. As Matori strangles Tetsuo with a cord, they both think about their children. Tetsuo saving Reika from drowning, and Matori thinks of Nobuto. That was the first time he felt what love actually felt like. He relaxes his grip, allowing Tetsuo to break free. Acknowledging his failures as a father, a businessman, and as a person, Matori suddenly stabs himself in the stomach with a kitchen knife. However, he reminds Tetsuo that if he fails to return, his gang will know Tetsuo was the culprit all along and kill both him and his family in revenge for his death. Just then, the police knock on the door to investigate the disturbance. Tetsuo manages to convince them to leave while he prevents Matori from speaking, and he ends up bleeding to death. Tetsuo cleans up the apartment, putting Matori's body in the bathtub. When Kubo's guy comes to investigate, he finds nothing wrong and reports to Kubo that Matori has left, closing the chapter. Damn, he beat the fuck out of Takeda for letting Kyoichi escape. Sucks to suck, nigga. Later that night, Tetsuo buries Matori's corpse in the woods and returns home the next morning. When Kasen sees him, she slaps him. Had her worried sick that he might not come back home. They even ended up not even eating dinner without him. But Tetsuo does not tell her what happened. The Tosu's family life returns to normal, in spite of the recent events. One night, the family was watching the news and saw that a big typhoon was going to hit the area, which will cause landslides and mud flows. Had Tetsuo saying,
It'll all be okay.
Surely. Then, it ends just like that. Crazy watch. But for now, I'm out.